Crittenden tonight, a ghastly flock of gulls descends on lower Midtown. All that and that sadistic sports and wearisome weather tonight. Salt vaccines that once cased themselves in obligatory solubility refine themselves against a sea of haze and purple invidiousness. Even as the narwhal god clutches his 380, a famously sissy firearm, his fingertips brush against the palms of death itself. The Psalms of Dental Ralph were full forgiven on a bent hall brachiopod snafu of the most egalitarian Elvisness, reported onlookers.
A of unruly ratty Sanheims to dental fusion lord, Plake Bridge, the Endeavor bird, in 4440 door party.
You let your left sleeve out, you let your right sleeve in, you let your left sleeve out, and now you look a right tosser, you obsequious dolt with weird sewing skills and a dumb shirt. Let's thrash this coaster out in the open. Okay, Warp Nacelle Crew 5, fresh Delta 48. I pummel my gold alone in a really despicable flax of death. Clasp-mashed de-thickening agent betwixt your hips, my feather darling, so that you can smooth out that snaky snap as I prod it for forgiveness with my flesh investigator. Do ghostly lovers bawl at the moon as us earthly souls are doomed to do? Or do they shit wads of rainbow gold into crystal goblets and praise the Aversky above? We keep creeping caps on Football Z. We keep sneaking hats onto Crookfall G. We have a lot of bandanas and a lot of cabanas. Hook C, bleepy boopy B. A scientific boat pacifist has sailed too oddly by for let me check the notes, long time ease, and it's a baddie that they doodles thatties. Oi finkies. So I rattled my ringies and plonked all my plingies and defronked all my gronkled up sponkety weavings, and now I'm Scorpido skeeping, scorpion ionization, bleeding feet, mean. We got the growed up, got the grab of the glob in big blobs, like, oh my God, how this fit all at once into my hand. Splat, splat, loosen 'em fat, too. When I first saw you, I was spotting dizzy, no father figure with me, so I was guessing, really. That's why when I met you, I embezzled your leggings. Sorry, lady, I just had to do what I thought would make me come true, like a wish in your pot. Do you spank the poo in your pot if it comes from your pa? And if you do not, what the fuck does he got? A pile of poo in his room that is too blue to come true? What? A toilet? What you talking about, fool? Felt tip henchman is a parloid pie. Duck goat fletching is a real good time. I like the boot and the foot and the sock and the grime. Ope, banana. Don't clutch my Ichabod pen. I have a loaded lotus and I'll befriend you again if you get lost to the wind. I can track you down like a golden giraffe in a carafe and spill scalding coffee onto your ass. Real-life modern-day Glyptodon is awful fond of dumping bombs out back the pond and then slurping up all the dead trout who will never spawn, who float up to the top after they exploded by the bomb. Crimping hot tropics in the tail of a humpback whale. You got to sail the 7 seas if you want to be killed by hail. Krill and frail, brittle coral reefs like, oh hell, oh well. Semi-shotgun blimp gonna limp because Heidenberg wasn't explosive just yet. It was nothing but dim in the horizon. Opa, there goes our eyes burn. Now we are so dead, sun like sun, but the light is so bright that it effing burns. Divest my nodes in a smoke shower. And we'll find growths of dope toads all along the flop bowers because they are like a bunch of bullshit stuff like Bob Dylan would write just because it rhymes. Why would a shrimp baby take 2 blimp ladies to the Mercedes-Benz pavilion and make them ladies bend like it was a Pez dispense of billions? Poo-poo brilliance? We brip your light, flip your life, clip your bike, snip your tripes, chip your mic. We are a lot of foam floor, bowling ball, hookworm whore for sucking crawl sporks from y'all's booty borks. Crack up. Collide in the bone. I am too stroke to phone home with my eponymous stone. Let's bunk in the room. People will see us, but screw 'em.
मेरे रो रो मरे वे काका निर्गर रो ये बदका ये तू को ज़्यादा ना
ಸರ್ದಾರ ಮಾ ಪೋಣತು ನಿತ್ತಲಿ ಇದತ್ತೆ ದೋತಾರೆ ಓಡ वो दोरी का तार तंग याल की दिया कंडर मारा नूरन माकाना मारा रे मैं नादी में अकरमा का नारा रनो इंदरा मैं पत्रोड़ तोंडा
ये का सोता वो सोता तोलता जी 감사네
गदे तू इधर गदा बदनगर
You ever said or fed if I'd away, his you on my crown and butt. And I want to storm Cannon lives, stick sail Camden mouth that you headed bad girls hammer boats. So Lil on wins a flank, as then I went chumpunk so stamps nest coming at me and headed this bedadded gross way. You know their tritus I'm back, I hope to grub them the sharper go like it's Camden lives, skittable cannonball and they're tied to bad girls broads. So Lil on the flank, and then I went chump come pumps, he smassly and got in his bedded gross way.
Popsicle on pocket watch, but then I couldn't watch it unless it tore out my own cloth, and now my pockets are just sockets. We threw a pop socket on pocket watch, but then I couldn't watch it unless it tore out my own cloth, and now my pockets are just sockets.
Misoriented representation on senseless anger, ridiculous entitlement. Like your unpleasant one-hit wonder namesake Ted, you really don't do the world much good.
Malfeasance, misappropriation of public funds intended to be spent on representation, total lack of accountability, was senseless anger, ridiculous entitlement. Like your unpleasant one-hit wonder namesake Ted, you really don't not do our hot world.
Malfeasance, misappropriation of public funds intended to be spent on representation, total lack of accountability, senseless anger, ridiculous entitlement. Like your unpleasant one-hit wonder namesake Ted, you really don't like do our hot world much.
Who topped me like a bran muffin. We're all scattered and worn. He burned off all the birthdays I was born, and it equaled out to nothing going wrong. So I am a midnight Monday away from a cash Sunday. It was a slabs of slanted madness on the scene. Create my own burial space, 2 of them tall states. I bundles on the rocks, I'm about my market spracks. Ran by hazing into my carts, to my carts, into my glaze. Aim my glazing with the tarps, painted glazing with the tarps I got from dad's base.
Parts with I hawked from a pawn shop run by prans with freshly manicured lawns on the sled on the tarns.
He's not all fell walking and burrowed homes. We bury all burial duties in a long landis jar of when conties, coing of the moon like a brace of ironed connies. We put dogs up against ponies and pointed them at raw ballinoni.
I did it for the crack, not glory. I smithed for the Duke. I smithy for the loot. I smothered my mother in burial ovens because I hated she was such a... If I should acknowledge his non-existence or not, he advocated that, and I had told me I was a sinister dated, and he was like, I merely appear when you've masturbated. Oh man, I thought.
Gats my guts, yoke from lace, that's my guess. It's never the gaze, and now you gas, Danny and Dan, the bopper gas, gay gas, yapper gas.
What I've had heck assos to Phil Delbert, Crystal Rod Pamper dispute spoon muffins, and we baked inwardly and outwardly, and we rotated around the radius, and it made a sort of counterclockwise glyph on the horizon, what I called a borrower's encirclet.
And it was some kind of foglet on a metal moon discussing fine reading, but not like books, but like what they're saying is about which are the good reeds in the swamp to port by, and then you fly.
You stick out tongue into these frogs. That's just the way you do it. But human mortals and mortal meat and people made of bacon and people made of bristle and people made of bone marrow and people made of phlegm and people made of bile ducts. It's a lot of really kinetic palindromes that burst out exceedingly with distributed noticeability across the wave ears and flanks, which makes the plankton question most.
Or did my ballows go? So wrong. And the answer that again comes fleetingly to the ears is whisper grief. Whisper it deadly too. Because the grief you're looking for is not made of police factories.
Are our own rulers come to bear protracted compass against us in the dead of night and in the alive of day and in the murder muffin of the most insidious tomfoolery known to bramble spouts and scramble lists and buffet chambers and lessening hasps?
Yes, but also with umbrella nation swine and cavitation ending that makes a slender bedwetting hobble ceremony out of the least skilled among us.
You are powerless to redrain your fluids. You can't crystallize sonics or phonics or apto-2 testerones because these apcore against Faldmat wavering. You're like, oh, my lizard, I have tendrils coming out of the back of.
And think you realize that crawling backwards down your back is a scorpion made of alien and bones. But you already knew that because it just hatched from the egg you had laid in 60 years ago and you compended to your brain.
So not made really what you were tending to was your tiny egg, the demon alien scream scarlet from hell, and it needed 6 years of your bile to grow, and then it was hell living hell scream to keep your parents from finding out. But now, hey, I mean, it was worth it in the end.
And then there were train trusses nearby Bear once, and once we had nearby it nearly enough, we realized we were right by near it. So we have back pop radiated binary flare. We got there. We go drive. It was a super soda clock flow, and we stalled it. We kept it.
We kept those in a way. We kept them a place on the part from the way that we go in the dowry. Some in that time was negated at market to a great extent, and there were some accusations flung of market manipulation. But isn't that just what you would say in ammonia these days?
Just because pound's your fault that ain't hatched, it doesn't need your puke anymore. You just can't stop doing it, and it isn't that always on you. And I didn't do it, right? There's a lot of weird wall faces and wall bugs, and what they do is they kind of arrest with you by like impersonating your darkest beer in a dog suit, and then they take off the dog.
And it's your darkest fear in a police costume, but not a uniform, because they make it abundantly clear by taking that off, and underneath there's just sort of a little saw to that moment, and you're like, oh, you're locked after. So you just a ghost mess it with me, though. So you just whip out your flame store and incinerate all the curtains. You burn your china cabinet, all the bookshelves, all the books. The house is going. It's going like a house on fire. In fact, you're like, this is what that's about. And then as you leave the house, fuck all the other houses too.
So you run around with this infinite, you aren't worried about because your flamethrower is doper than hell, and you grow and grow to the size of Jupiter so you can blow up the whole planet in one big blast and strange outside like Mars, and you're like, I kill you all with flame, and you laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, and then a bug in Spain wakes up and realizes the whole thing was just a dream, and you evaporate from the universe, and it's like, I will eat all the bugs in Spain until we can really flamethrow this pock.
Who's there?
Only child.
If you're only a child, why do you come into my home? Only child. Yes, old. I have the sister of Honnalan.
Who's there? Only child. If you're only a child, why do you come into my home?
Only child. You don't sound like a child. You sound older than the moon. Yes, old. Older than noon. Yes, older than sun. Then what I could not have been only child. I have a sister in Honolulu. What are you? Only child. But I'm not an only child. I have a sister in Honolulu. Only child. What do you want? Only child.